Jai Gurudev. Question. Is it proper to concentrate on the center between the eyebrows during sadhan? Answer. I have pointed out that this system does not advocate any conscious or active effort on the part of aspirant. Therefore, it is not desirable to concentrate on the center between the eyebrows, root of the nose, or any plexus in the body. All the senses, mind, chitta, intellect, and prana should be allowed to play a free role. The greater this passivity in the aspirant, the more heightened is the experience of the Kriya. Question. I have heard that as the practices advances, the passions also increase. I wonder if I should continue my sadhan in that state? Answer. One should never be afraid of anything in this system. Shakti arouses all past accumulated seeds, whether good or bad, for a quicker manifestation into the passionless kriyas. They are temporary, transitory, and fast changing. One thing to be sure about is that whatever illness results from one kind of kriya will be removed by another type of succeeding kriya. Question. I feel giddiness while performing my sadhan. Please tell me if this is quite usual, and if not, the method by which I may be rid of it. Answer. This feeling happens at a time when there are counter forces of accumulated seeds of past actions withholding some kriya from manifestation. However, this kriya will find its own way out, for which no effort is necessary. Question. My sadhan is particularly pleasant, but I sometimes feel that I fall into sleep, yet when I awake, I find that it was still doing sadhan. Please explain the meaning of this. Answer. It is not the ordinary sleep of unconsciousness that you experience. It is yogic sleep, that is Yog Nidra, which immediately restores you to a pleasant state of consciousness. When awakened from an ordinary sleep, a man usually takes 10 to 15 minutes to attain a normal waking state of consciousness. Question. I do not like chanting the mantra loudly, but take pleasure while repeating it silently and peacefully in my mind. Please let me know if loud chanting of mantra is necessity. Answer. I have said that the actual chanting of mantra in this system are the automatic movements experienced. The chanting out loud of a mantra may only be necessary initially to put the Shakti into automatic motion, but if an aspirant finds himself experiencing Kriyas immediately, then it is not essential. Question. How do the Kriyas performed in sadhan differ from the usual routine activities of life? Answer. Every kind of movement is the result of accumulated seeds of past actions in a man. The movements caused by the awakening of Shakti do not accumulate further in the form of future seeds. However, the routine activities of life may create a binding effect since it is performed with some desire. The awakened energy, being always active, gradually takes over all other obligations of life from the conscious self and thus reduces the binding effect of such actions. The automatic movements continue to become more and more subtle and ultimately disappear while leaving the aspirant in a state of permanent bliss. Question: do you prescribe any particular posture for this sadhan? Answer: no, you should sit in the posture you find most comfortable. Further, you have the freedom to change it as per your liking and need. Question: I sometimes feel like visiting my old school of spiritual teaching. Do you object to me by going there now? Answer: I do not think it proper for you to go to your old place of spiritual association. Firstly, because you may be misunderstood there, and secondly, because there may be transmission of Shakti to those who are not initiated. Question: what do you mean by external purification, that is Bhav Shuddhi? How is it to be accomplished? Answer: an aspirant does not categorize his time into periods of spiritual disciplines and routine activity. In order to reach any height of spirituality, he should remain dedicated to it 24 hours a day. Spiritual discipline is broadly of two types: internal and external. Japa, penance, worship, study of religious books, and yoga practices all come under the category of internal discipline. The external type is that discipline of mind where duties are performed without any passion or desire, and the consideration of its fruit never comes in the way of its performance. This discipline is necessary for checking the growth of any future accumulation of the seeds of karma. Ordinarily, an action produces three kinds of results. Firstly, the sense of pleasure or pain. Secondly, the invisible imprint of such sensation retained in the form of a seed. And thirdly, the consequence met due to the accumulation of these seeds. Every action performed and the fruit tasted in this manner adds to the accumulation of this store, and after some time there is a huge stock of these effects ready to act as a casual reservoir for future actions. This is actually what we call human fate, which every man must face. There is no shortcut, no way out except to face these consequences, irrespective of any spiritual advancement a person has acquired. To sum up briefly, the three karmas are: number one, kriyaman karma, action in progress; second, accumulated effects of past action in human chit; third, prarabdha karma, that is fateful action. There is, in fact, an endless circuit of karma formed in this manner. A man performs an action under the fateful compulsions appearing before him in forms of pleasure, pain, or other worldly enjoyments. This is only enriching the store of accumulated binding effects of past actions, and these in turn, when strengthened in the aforesaid manner, becomes human fate. The sequence of cause and effect forms a vicious circle which seems to have neither a beginning nor an end. The only technique by which this chain can be broken is the discipline of non attachment and non involvement. When an action is performed without passion, it is done with non attachment. Furthermore, there should be no sense of doership. The fact is that it is not the action which causes bondage, but the attachment of the mind in its performance that causes it. When an action is performed with discipline of non attachment and non involvement, there is no sense of pleasure, pain, hence, there is no accumulation of binding effect. This sort of action can be performed when Chitt has been made tranquil by remaining in the company of a holy man, reading religious books, and following many other spiritual disciplines like jap, tap, and worship. When we seek blessings from holy men, we are asking for their assistance in bringing about this state of tranquility of mind so that the binding effect of pleasure and pain do not exist. A man, after realizing this state, lives in eternal bliss and is not disturbed even by greatest misery. It is true that this state cannot easily be achieved. Therefore, it is advised that persons who cannot perform action with non attachment give up involvement with its fruit. Failing to do this, a person should perform action with a sense of duty. And when even this discipline is not possible, he can adopt the attitude that his actions are only for the worship of God. As long as a person is not convinced by the experience of the fact that God is the only controlling force behind all his senses, mind, and intellect, he should at least nourish this idea in his mind or heart. He can further think that whatever objects he needs and the actions he performs are all creation of God. He can in this way try to employ his God given talents for best possible use of God granted objects. This is all for checking further growth of bondage. It is necessary that accumulated effects are processed and refined to the stage where they are incapable of growing and in fact cause bondage. This process has been described by the analogy of roasted seeds. Once the seeds are roasted, they do not germinate. The seeds of accumulated effect of past karma are roasted in the fire of spiritual discipline. Thus, both internal as well as external spiritual disciplines are necessary for restraining of chit, which help to free a man from everlasting bondage and enable him to live in a stage of eternal bliss and divine grace. Jai Gurudev.